Hello, how are you doing out there? If I could ask everyone to come into the building and move down to the front, please. We're going to start off with some announcements that I hope are not going to be too terribly boring, but just to get some housekeeping out of the way. And the first thing that I want to tell you, and you're not the people who need to hear this, is that in the morning we are going to start promptly at 8:30 regardless of how many people are in the seats. So if y'all could share that with the people who are not here right now, that would be really helpful, okay? The next thing I want to tell you about, and I don't know whether you've picked up on this or not, but we have a pint glass for each of you here at SOCAP this year. Igniting Vibrant Communities, SOCAP14 from Bison Organic Beer. You can pick these up by turning in a coupon at the marketplace, which is in the center of the Impact Hub space toward the back. So take your coupon there and pick up your pint glass. Also in the Impact Hub, we have a place for you to do some unlocking of your brain by stopping by there, the lexicon of sustainability, to paint and to look at some images around food and food systems that are inspiring. So if you've got some time tomorrow, please drop by there and be ready to unlock that brain of yours. Also, I want to remind all of you that everything that's happening in this room and everything happening in this room is being live cast. This is on the internet right now. People are watching it, presumably from wherever they are around the world. And these are also being archived so that you can watch these sessions immediately afterwards. And the sessions that are happening in the money stage, which is right next door, are also being archived. And I want to talk for just a minute about the one session that I actually got to attend today. And I know that each of you will have amazing stories about the inspirations that you heard, but the one session I was able to attend was in this room, and the video of it is archived, and I highly commend to you the conversation about De5 Ventures. And I'm telling you about De5 Ventures because one of the entrepreneurs coming out of De5 Ventures runs a boot camp. His name is Koss, and he invented this workout when he was in a 6-by-9-foot cell for something like 5 years. And he's going to offer that to anyone who would like to do the prison boot camp workout at 7:30 in the morning in front of the festival pavilion in front of SOCAP, Impact Hub at SOCAP. So everybody, 7:30, be there, okay? Can you do that? Okay, great. Then one last thing from me, and then we're going to move on to someone else making announcements, is I want to tell you all that one of the things that we at SOCAP are doing this year is asking the question, why? A lot of what happens in our sessions is about who's doing it, what they're doing, what the interest rates are, you know, what the business plans are, how all of this works. And we have a group of people who are working around the Google area asking the why question, and they are trying to interview at least 100 people, and I think they've done about 50 by now. I know that there were 25 around lunchtime. So if you have any inkling that you would like to share your story about why you are doing what you're doing, we would really love to hear that. It will help us in our work, and we think it will help you in your work to know why people are taking business seriously in a different way to make change in the world. There's a whole lot more going on over in the Impact Hub at SOCAP that I don't even know about. So I've invited Tim Nichols, who is the space manager for the Impact Hub in San Francisco and has been the person coordinating everything going on at the Impact Hub at SOCAP, the world's largest Impact Hub operating right next door. I'm inviting Tim right now to come to the stage and tell us a little bit more about what is happening over in the Impact Hub and how you can get involved for the next 2 days. Tim.
Wow. Good afternoon. So, as Rosalie said, I'm the Managing Director of Impact Hub in San Francisco and Berkeley. And this is my third year of introducing Impact Hub at SOCAP. Every year, this crowd seems to get bigger, which is a very exciting thing. And I guess I would start with, as I look out at this sea of people that are in here, I know they are people that know that things can be better. They are people that know that business can do more and that their actions can make it happen. You guys come year after year because there's a sense of community here. There's a sense of connection here. And most importantly, it's an opportunity to celebrate the work that you're all doing. And if you're not celebrating, I don't think you're SOCAPing right. I'm sorry. For the last 2 years, I've mentioned your opportunity to stay connected to this community and keep celebrating all year long at the Impact Hub. And in all honesty, it seems like you guys have been listening. The Impact Hub is now you guys. The global network of entrepreneurs, activists, corporates, artists, freelancers, designers, and investors has grown to 10,000 members, over 50 spaces, cities around the world, on all 6 continents. And just to kind of bring it into perspective, we'll start here in the Bay. Next week, Berkeley is going to celebrate its 5-year anniversary of being the first hub in the United States. Over the last year, San Francisco, which is nearly full, 20,000 square feet, has recently become the home of the Google Impact Challenge winners. And if you haven't seen them, I'll explain that a bit later. And Impact Hub Oakland came online in February, revitalizing essentially overnight the activist spirit of our network. New York, Philly, and DC have all opened in the last couple of months and drawn in those local communities. And we've gone, since I started doing this, from 4 to 14 Impact Hubs in North America. That's over 3 years. But it's not just here, it's globally. As you can imagine, there's some difficult conversations in some of these cities. In Odessa and Moscow, they are bridging some very complex conversations. On the ground in Athens, they are engaging youth and supporting the entrepreneurs and fighting mass unemployment in that city. In Caracas, they're supporting the massive social unrest that's happening down there. And in Tel Aviv, they're working towards one of the original concepts of the Impact Hub, a peace hub where you can actually bring people together, the Israelis and the Palestinians, to discuss the issues. Thanks. You're everywhere these days. You're working your nights, you're working on the weekends, and you continue to build this movement, you continue to build these enterprises, and you continue to build the campaigns, and you consistently seem to want more, which is why I think these Impact Hubs keep growing. And I'm here to kind of introduce you to what you can do while you're at SOCAP for the next couple of days. Right across the water there, you can come to the Impact Hub at SOCAP. We have 20 founders in from around the world to talk to you about what it means to have an Impact Hub in your local reality. You can also bring your discussions to that space and actually take them offline and hold them in the space that we've created for you. And it wasn't just us that created it. We partnered a couple of years ago with Herman Miller, who, with their century of design expertise and collaborative space knowledge, has helped us not only outfit the spaces across the United States, but they're also helped us design the space that's over there. As I mentioned previously, Google has partnered with us recently with their Impact Challenge, and their lounge space showcases the great projects and Impact Hub members that have won this year in the Bay Area. The Make Impact Station, which is also to be found in the Impact Hub, provides a prototype space where you can witness some of the exciting innovations being built for the developing world in maker spaces locally, like Tech Shop and Gearbox. And this is actually brought to you by the Lemelson Foundation. The Vodafone Mobile Innovation Station, which you can also find inside, is for mobile entrepreneurs changing the world. And of course, in the back of the Impact Hub space is SoCent Central, where you can quickly learn more about and meet, if you want to, the entrepreneurs that are sponsored this year at SOCAP. And there's one other request that I would have from all of you. If you haven't yet, use StartGrid. you have a connection or you have an insight to these businesses that are out there, to these entrepreneurs that are there, that can really help them progress in their work. And so take a moment and please share your knowledge. You are the global community of Impact Hub makers. We've built the Impact Hub at SOCAP to connect you at a local level, and if you come over and find us, we'd be more than happy to talk to you more about that. So I will see you at the Impact Hub. Thank you. Thanks.
So now we're going to shift gears just a little bit. And our session tonight is more about the heart than it is about the pocketbook. I guess you could say that it's going to be about some, I hope that you're going to be moved by some of the stories that you hear here tonight. And we want to start with a little bit of space setting. And we've invited a very special person to be with us tonight. Ed is a Shoshone-Bannock poet, playwright, performer, traditional storyteller, tour guide, and lecturer on Northwest tribal culture. He will be with us again tomorrow and Friday, and we are thrilled to have his wisdom on our stage here at SOCAP. We have these stories that are going to connect us to our heart and what gives us meaning in our lives. And before we begin tonight, if we could just take a moment of silence, a minute or so, to think about how you might listen with new ears or other ears to what is going on in our world and what is going on in our lives. So we're going to take just a moment before Ed comes to the stage. If we can have a moment of silence. Ed, will you come and tell us a story?
You, whose day it is, get out your rainbow colors so that it may be beautiful. You, whose day it is, get out your rainbow colors so that it may be beautiful. You, whose day it is, get out your rainbow colors so that it may be beautiful. You, whose day it is, get out your rainbow colors so that it may be beautiful. Did you know a long time ago there was no Columbia River? If you believe science that talk about the Missoula flood, for a glacier melted above Missoula, Montana, formed the rivers and lakes of the Northwest. But that's science. Want to know what does Indians say? Coyote took a big stick to the top of the mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. If you don't know, our culture is not a spectator sport. Let's come to a powwow. Buy our beadwork, buy our fry, but eat it. It's really fattening and tastes good. We even ask you to dance, so everyone get your stick out and help me say it. Everyone get your stick out. Coyote took a big stick to the mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. Help me say it. Coyote took a big stick to the top of the mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. A little bit louder. Coyote took a big stick to the top of the mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. Coyote took a big stick to the top mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. Coyote took a big stick to the top mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. Everyone, Coyote took a big stick to the top mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. Coyote took a big stick to the top mountains and dug and sang a powerful song. And the water broke through, forming what Indians call Enchiwana, the big river, which most people refer to as the Columbia River. Coyote was proud of himself. He made Enchiwana. He was walking up and down the banks of Enchuana to see what he had made. The animal people moved down to the riverbanks to be closer to the water. Coyote saw they didn't have that much to eat, so Coyote walked clear to the ocean, and he saw many salmon swimming in the ocean, and used his power, told the salmon to swim upstream. That's how Coyote made Enchuana, and that's why the salmon swim upstream, and that's a Calva legend. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker tonight, I'm excited to have on the stage. When she was 8 years old, she saw a picture of two boys her age living in modern-day slavery, and she decided to make a stand for them and set up a lemonade stand every day, rain or shine, to end child slavery. On day 52, the New York Times broke her story, and that moment became a movement. On day 173 in Times Square, Vivienne reached her goal of $100,000, and she went on to become the first child in American history to bottle her lemonade stand lemonade. Make a Stand Lemonade is a B Corporation, and the fair trade product is now sold in stores across America, with 5% of her revenues going to organizations to eradicate child slavery. She also has written a book, When Life Gives You Lemons, Change the World, Make a Stand. Of their roughly 230 million users, Twitter gave Vivienne the honor of ringing the bell at their IPO in New York on November the 7th in 2013, because the executives at Twitter believe that Vivienne is now a symbol of how Twitter can be used to change the world. There's more. Emmy Award-winning Still Motion created a full-length documentary about Vivienne's story. It aired in more than 50 cities across North America. And now, with the launch of the Make a Stand mobile app, backed by investors Jack Dorsey and MGM Studios, Vivienne is helping others launch their own global crowdfunding campaigns from their smartphones. And to top it all off, last month she spoke at the United Nations. So, welcome to our stage, our youngest speaker ever, Vivienne Harr. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Vivienne. And, so do we just start like that? Okay. Okay. So, I'm Vivienne, and I'm the Chief Inspiration Officer and founder of Make a Stand. This is my talk called Business for Good. In 2012, I saw a photo that would change my life. What I'd like to notice about this photo is that it's really sad, but also it makes you want to make a difference because, I mean, no one can take away their hope or their love or anything. So I like that about this photo. It also makes you want to make a stand. I thought slavery ended with Abraham Lincoln, but I was wrong about that. I decided to be a voice for the 18 million children without one. That's me. I set up my lemonade stand. It was the only business experience I had. I made a stand, rain or shine, for 365 days in a row to end child slavery. That's me again. I didn't know what would happen. But I knew we were facing in the right direction. That's my brother, and he was a little grumpy on this day because not many customers were coming by. So that's turnaround. But then more customers came, and we never gave up. Some days were harder than others. we never gave up. This is Times Square. It was amazingly cold. Seriously, I was freezing in what I was wearing. Yeah. After 173 days, would you believe it? We raised $101,320 to end child slavery. This is our lemonade up against Coke. So, I don't know how in the world that would work, but anyways, it will, because we are changing the world, and Coke is making a great drink. So, what I'd like to notice about this photo as well is that it's like, I'm looking at you, Coke. Now I'm gonna get ya. We kept on going and bottled the hope. Big things have very small beginnings. This is me ringing the bell at the Twitter IPO. And so we ring the bell for hope and freedom. Make a Stand is a simple mobile technology that helps people make a difference. We will lead the way in mobile crowdfunding. Our vision is a world where anyone can make a stand wherever they stand. Our mission is at least 10 people making at least $1 billion of impact every year. Make a Stand could create a role model for all businesses, by the New York Times. And that's the other one by Fast Company. Oh, sorry. Will you help us create a better world where anyone, anywhere can make a stand wherever they stand? Okay, so we actually have three ways you can help. 1, you could buy our lemonade. 2, you could visit makeastandapp.com. And 2, you could, I forgot that one, sorry. Oh well, this is the most important one. And if you don't mind, for the 43 seconds that I have left, on 3 I would like to say, I will make a stand. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay, so on 3. 1, 2, 3. I will make a stand. Thanks. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay. What were you doing when you were 11? Really now? We're very excited tonight to have Van Jones back on this stage, particularly because what he's going to be talking about started sort of here last year. Van is a visionary leader at the forefront of the social, economic, environmental, and racial justice movements for the last 20 years. He's the founder of Yes We Code, a national initiative to help train 100,000 low-opportunity youth to become high-level computer coders. An initiative that moved from an idea in Van's head out into the public eye here on this stage. In 2009, Van worked as the Green Jobs Advisor to the Obama White House. There he helped run the interagency process that oversaw $80 billion in green energy recovery spending. And he's currently a co-host of Crossfire on CNN. Joining Van this evening will be Kalimah Priforce, co-founder of Kino Labs, an organization pioneering innovative hackathons for underrepresented youth from all over the nation. Kalimah is also a White House Champion of Change in STEM Diversity and Access, a 2013 Echoing Green Fellow, a 2014 Starting Block Fellow, a 2014 College Board Fellow, and the very first Yes We Code Fellow. So welcome first, Kalimah, to our stage. Thank you.
I have the distinct honor of being a black man in a suit, introducing another black man in a suit, which never happens here. So those of you who are watching via live stream or YouTube, this is not the BET Awards or the NAACP convention. This is SOCAP 2014. My name is Kalimah Priforce, and I'm the co-founder of Kino Labs. And we make hackathons. We run hackathons around the country that emphasize inclusion, empathy, and play. When I was selected to be a 2013 Echoing Green Fellow in Black Male Achievement, they asked me, which Echoing Green Fellow would you like recognized as being a change maker? That someone who personally inspires you. And I chose Van. I chose Van for the same reasons that many of you would choose Van. In fact, I represent hundreds of organizations under Yes We Code who choose Van for being an optimist. Van believes that human beings can be better by doing better for low opportunity youth and for our planet. For being a pessimist, for believing that Washington, D.C. can never do for us what we can do for ourselves, and for being a realist, by believing that you can't have justice without jobs. Oakland activist Van, CNN Crossfire Van, Green Jobs Van, whichever Van you choose, we choose him because he's a magical thinker and a magical doer. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Van Jones, a mentor, champion, and friend to us all.
That was Kalimah. First of all, give that brother, I'm going to brag on him during the speech, but give him a round of applause. That brother's an unbelievable hero. Proof that there's genius in group homes. There's genius in foster care. There's genius in homeless kids. And you just saw one. So give him another round of applause. That is an unbelievable success story. Now look, I'm going to talk about Yes We Code in a minute. But I'm not on TV, so I can say what I want. And I don't know what it is about SOCAP. Last time I was here, it was right after Trayvon. And now here we are right after what happened in Ferguson. I was covering what happened in Ferguson for CNN, I guess last week. For those of you who don't know, there's a young African-American man shot 6 times, including once in the head, unarmed by a police officer there. I had to cover it. It was tough. I kept a straight face. I kept it right down the middle, man. I did good. But now, I'm with y'all. And I'm going to say this. It would be a compliment to call the police and the city leadership of that town racist. That would be a compliment. That's something they should strive to achieve. Because racism requires higher order thinking, you see. It's like abstract conceptual thinking is required. This was some of the stupidest stuff that I've ever seen, and I just want to say, I'll move on to my thing. The very first minute of the very first hour of the very first day of your gun safety class. I'm not talking about police academy. I'm not talking about in the military. I mean basic gun safety. What do they tell you? First minute, first hour, first day. What do they tell you? Don't point your weapon at anybody unless you plan to shoot that person. To give you a sense of why I say it would be an achievement for them to get to the higher order thinking required to actually be racist, the entire police force, the entire time I was there, was pointing weapons at everybody. It was like literally like, how are you? How are you? It's like, I was doing better before you pointed the gun at me, since you're asking. Okay, so that's the backdrop. That's terrible. But the heartbreak for me actually didn't come until I got home. I hated seeing the family suffering. I hated seeing the community suffering. But what happened to me was when I got home, I was watching the funeral on my laptop, and my son walked in. 10-year-old son, not a political kid at all, really into soccer. And he watched me watching the funeral of this young African-American boy who had been killed. And he listened to the eulogy. He came over my son, and he put his hand on my back. And he got very quiet. And when it was over, I didn't know what to expect, because he's not a politically involved child at all. And he said, you know, Daddy, you said when you went to Ferguson, the reason that you went was because it was a tragedy for the whole country what happened to that child. I said, yeah, it was a tragedy. He said, well, Daddy, why were there no white people at the funeral? Now, I usually have a lot to say. I couldn't form a sentence. And the reason I couldn't form a sentence was because I knew that there was a seed that had just been planted in my mind, in my son's mind, that was actually a false seed. In his mind, the fact that there were no white people at the funeral meant that maybe white people didn't care about kids like him. And in fact, that is not true. In fact, there were people, including people in this room, who, if you could even stand to look at what was going on, because most of us just cut the TV off or just changed the radio. It's just too hard to even look at it. But whose hearts were breaking of every color. In fact, it turns out the tragedy in this country at this point is not those small number of white people who may still have ill will. It's a massive number of white people who care so much they can't even stand it and don't know what to do. I think we're actually faced with a massive design failure because the goodwill that people have in this country toward people like that child that was killed in Ferguson, toward young people, men, women, Latino, African American, Native American, low opportunity, high potential young folks like Kalimah, the genius in our country, the goodwill is actually massive. And yet, somehow, we don't show up. Somehow, we miss each other. And I didn't know what to say. If I had to do it over again, I would have told them, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. We didn't know to ask. We didn't know how to ask. And they didn't know how to offer. And we're still at a place in America where one or the other has to happen for us to come together. So if we are going to solve this for America, if we're going to stop wasting genius, if we're going to stop missing each other, if the incredible genius in low-income communities communities of color is going to be tapped, and the incredible goodwill, massive, unbelievable levels of goodwill in this room and across the country is going to be activated, we have to deal with this design failure. We've got to build an actual mechanism by which we can find each other. And that is a part of what Yes We Code is trying to do. What is Yes We Code and where did it come from? Yes We Code actually was born right here on this stage a year ago. Trayvon thing had just gone down. I was talking to my friend Jeff Leifer. I was talking to Pandora Thomas. I was talking to Zakiya from Hack the Hood. And I said, this is a big moment for America. We got to do something. We've got to find some way to move beyond the problems that we're seeing on TV every day. And I had just had the opportunity to meet with a friend of mine named Prince. I love saying that. I'm going to say it again. I was talking to my friend, Prince. And he had made the observation right in the wake of the Trayvon Martin thing that, when you see a young black kid wearing a hoodie, you assume he's a thug. But if you see a white kid wearing a hoodie, you might think it's Mark Zuckerberg. Right? And I said, that's because of racism. And Prince said, no, maybe, but it could be we haven't produced enough black Mark Zuckerbergs. And I would add Latino Mark Zuckerbergs and Latino Mark Zuckerbergs and Native American Mark. It could be that there's a failure that we need to look at. And so Prince challenged me to do something about that. So we began this incredible quest. And I'm here to report to you on the success and tell you how you can keep it moving forward. So here's the first thing that we did. First of all, we recognized one thing. I don't know how to code. I don't know anything about the computers. I can barely check my own email. That's not actually a joke, it's true. So the first thing we did was we found people who knew about the computers. First and foremost being Cheryl Conti. Yes, I said Cheryl Conti. You can applaud now. First and foremost being Cheryl Conti. Who agreed to come on Yes We Code as a co-founder. Everybody knows her incredible work as a tech entrepreneur and mentor and fairy godsister for half the people in this room. Cheryl came on board. We also found a woman named Amy Henderson, who had worked for Muhammad Yunus, who had worked for Bill Drayton, and she came in, and together we launched this quest. And we discovered something that's going to make you feel very, very good. It turns out that the core components to fix the problem of the lack of diversity, at least in tech, already exist. I'm going to say that again, because you guys were humiliated and embarrassed and frustrated to see tech company after tech company release their numbers, and the numbers were 0.00, no people of color are doing anything, or something like that. That may not be exactly accurate, but that's what it felt like. And it seemed like, well, this is going to be an impossible problem to solve. Google released their numbers, Facebook, Apple, and it looked like it was going to be impossible to solve. It turns out that's not true at all. We went on a quest, and we found that there are dozens and dozens of amazing organizations with amazing leadership that are actually teaching African American, Latino, Latina, Native American young people how to code, how to design, how to be builders. And every one of these programs is oversubscribed. The idea that young people don't want to do this in these communities, completely false. They literally cannot get enough chairs in the room, enough computers, enough money to teach the young people in these communities who want to turn their genius into computer products right now, today. You'll never see that on television. It's right now. We also discovered that these organizations tend to be underfunded, misaligned, and in great need of real help, but are open to being helped. What kind of groups am I talking about? I'm talking about, obviously, the superstar groups we've all heard of, like Black Girls Code, Girls Who Code, Code.org, et cetera, the vanguard. But those organizations actually are the tip of a massive iceberg of other organizations and other leaders. For instance, Qeyno Labs, Kalimah was just up here, Hack the Hood, Hidden Genius Project, the Priforce Center. And also, it turns out that there have been leaders like Catherine Finney, who've been plowing the ground in this field for a very, very long time, that there's a massive number of organizations that are ready to form a pipeline to connect the hood to Silicon Valley. So those organizations exist. We went back to Prince. We said we discovered something I think anybody knows. We want to make sure the world knows about it. Prince says, guess what? Now, this is going to make you feel very, very sad. So get ready. Prince says, this summer, I'm saying this in the winter, this summer is the 30th anniversary of Purple Rain. Yes, you're that old. Okay, I told you. I told you it was going to make you feel terrible. But it's a part of the story. I can't leave it out. So yes, he said, the 30th anniversary of Purple Rain is coming up this summer. I'm going to go to the Essence Music Festival, 20th anniversary there. Essence Music Festival, if you don't know, biggest African-American festival in this hemisphere. 20th anniversary for them, 30th anniversary for me. I'm going to go there. I'm going to do a concert there for 50,000 people to launch Yes We Code and put a spotlight on all these groups. Now that, by itself, was really cool and amazing. But that's the beginning of the story. Again, started here on this stage, talking to Jeff, talking to Pandora, talking to Zakiya. Went back to Prince, said we're on to something. He says we're going to do the concert. The people at Essence say, not only are we going to do the concert, for the first time ever at a major African-American event, we're going to do both a tech village and a hackathon. Okay? Now, I want you guys to see some of the pictures from this hackathon. We'll just let them roll, and you can see the amazing stuff that happened. And it was actually Kalimah's organization that led the hackathon. Give Kalimah another, I'm in love with this brother. Give Kalimah another round of applause. So these pictures will just run. Now I'm going to brag a little bit on the folks that were involved in it, and then I'm going to tell you what you can do to help move this thing forward. Not only did dozens of grassroots organizations come together, not only did Prince and Dr. King's family and Chris Tucker, the actor, and Essence and Time Incorporated come together, Google co-sponsored this. Facebook got involved, actually built us a website called yeswecode.org, which I'll talk to you about and tell you about. You also had the Northern California grant makers jumped in the mix to try to get the philanthropic community in Northern California excited about this. Julie Z, who's obviously a huge hero to everybody here, got the Marin Foundation engaged and talking about all the stuff that is going on and can be going on. And here is what we learned. And for those of you who think this is all neat but want to hear the nuts and bolts, here's what we discovered, nuts and bolts. A better tech pipeline is possible. A better tech pipeline is possible. It has, as we are blessed to be able to pull it together, 5 simple components of pre-existing assets and infrastructure now being optimized by partnership, love, alliance, hard work, a whole bunch of meetings, but it's happening. 5 steps. These hackathons to get young people in the door, and I'll talk about that at the close. Step 1, hackathon. Step 2, pouring people into the entry-level groups that are already out there that need more support. We call them the first-mile groups. To convince a young Latina, a young Filipino kid, a black kid, a young woman that she can make an app. Those go into the boot camps. It's one thing to be able to make an app. It's another thing to be able to make a living at Apple. Those are two different things. You can make an app, but can you make a living at Apple? You got to have hardcore job training, and the boot camps are there to do that. And then the fourth step, the employers who have already declared that they want to be more diverse, and the incubators. Hackathons, entry-level groups, boot camps, employers, incubators, working together, multi-partner, multi-party alliance. We are building a pipeline from the hood to Silicon Valley. That's Yes We Code. That's Yes We Code. Now, our job is to get, oh, did somebody show Prince? Can you rewind it? No, I'm just joking. Yeah, that's my friend. Did I mention that part? What's our job? What do we need? How can you help? Why should you help? Our job is to get 100,000. Now, most of these are African American, by the way, because Essence is African American, and I'm African American, Prince is African American. Don't be fooled. The next one is going to be on the East Coast, and it's going to be almost all Latino and Latina. We got one in the works for Native Americans in Minnesota. I want to go to Appalachia because it's not just kids of color. You got poor kids in Appalachia. They're geniuses too, and they're not going to MIT and Stanford. We're missing them. So Yes We Code is going to be for everybody, but this is where it started. Oh, by the way, that was Trayvon Martin's mother. We just flipped past. So what are we going to do? We're going to get 100,000 low opportunity, high potential young people to move through this pipeline. We're going to change the complexion of technology. Silicon Valley, metaphorically and literally. The Silicon Valley is from Austin to Boston. We want to impact all of them. What's the price tag? We're trying to raise $11 million a year, 10 million of which are going to go to these organizations. $11 million a year for 10 years. We think with that level of investment, very small but trim tab, we can flip the entire trajectory of 100,000 young lives, but also the trajectory of technology. Now, the reason I think it's possible is because I went to these hackathons. And I want to say, and I've said it before, and I'm going to say it every time I talk about these hackathons, that it was transformative for me. Because I went in with a terrible attitude. When Kalimah first pulled together the first one of these hackathons in Oakland, California, and asked me to come, I showed up. I was happy to show up, happy to be supportive, happy to put on a game face, happy to be PC, happy to give a little, you poor worthless kids can do it speech. But I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. The first thought in the back of my mind when I walked in there and I saw 90 black kids from Oakland, I hope there's not a fight. I said, I hope there's not a fight in here. We got folks from Google and the media. I hope there's not a fight. That was the first thought that went through my mind. Now, George W. Bush calls that the soft bigotry of low expectations. The soft bigotry of low expectations. Yes, I'm quoting George W. Bush. That's how ashamed of myself that I am. Because these kids were unreal. These kids were unreal. They were extraordinary. The ideas that they had, the creativity that they had, the stick-to-itiveness that they had, it was unbelievable. And the products they designed and the stuff that they came up with, the people from Google and Facebook and all the fancy people, their mouths were literally hanging open, saying some of these ideas are literally billion-dollar projects. Billion-dollar products. Right there in deep East Oakland. The hackathon was in downtown, but you had kids from deep East Oakland. And they're saying they were literally billion-dollar ideas. Right there. Genius going to waste. Okay? Now, I don't want this to be abstract. I'm going to tell you 2 of the ideas these young people had to give you a sense of what would happen if these young people had the tools to train the technology. And I'm going to make a request from you. Just one of the ideas they came up with was an app that would alert them as to when their court dates were. I'll say it again because it's heartbreaking, but it's brilliant. They wanted an app that would tell them when their court dates were. And one of these kids were terrible kids. All kids, as you know, do all kind of stuff. You say, not my kids. Yes, your kids too. Right? Kids do terrible stuff, but if you're in the suburbs, you might be doing it in your dad's basement. If you're in the urban area, you might be doing it on the street corner. I went to Yale Law School. 95% of the kids at Yale Law School would be called nonviolent drug offenders. Taught at Princeton, same thing. I'm a fellow now at MIT, same thing. 95% of those kids are nonviolent drug offenders. They don't go to prison. But if you're in Deep East Oakland, cops see you on the street corner doing it, you get arrested. Now, that doesn't end your life. The problem is somebody gives you a piece of paper that says in 3.5 weeks at 3:15 on the 4th floor of a building you've never been to, you have to show up to talk to the judge. What 15-year-old, 17-year-old kid has seen a piece of paper, right, and kept it? So they said, can we have an app for that? And built it. There's a young girl at the New Orleans one who was in foster care. And she said, some of the young girls in foster care, they get these hand-me-down clothes, these loaned-out clothes. The clothes don't look good. They don't feel good about themselves. Frankly, some of the girls wind up doing stuff you wouldn't want your daughter doing to get money just for clothes. They came up with an app design where people could take a picture of the clothes they donate, and the girls could find the clothes and pick their own outfits for themselves. Somebody there said that could be $1 billion business, could totally change the way that the clothing that whole end of the clothing industry works. Those are 2 ideas. I could stand here all night bragging on these kids. So here's what I need from you. Hackathons, entry-level groups, boot camps, employers, incubators. Everybody in here can be a part of this pipeline at some level. Every single person. Facebook built a website for us called yeswecode.org so anybody can plug in to this network and help us build this thing. I need your help to do that. I need your help for one more thing. This is what I'll close with. I talked to my boy, my brother, Kalimah. I said, look, we got to go back to Ferguson. We got to go back to Ferguson. Story can't end this way. No matter what happens, the police officer winds up losing his job or going to jail or doesn't or whatever. At the end of the day, this is a tragedy for every other kid in Ferguson who saw one of their own die, who saw a bunch of hoopla, but who right now have no better future than they had before the shots were fired. Despite all the media attention, despite Eric Holder going, despite the president talking, but despite all this, those kids have no more hope. They just have one more funeral. We got to go back to Ferguson. And Kalimah, being Kalimah, we'll go back. We'll do a hackathon, but only if the cops come too. Only if they come too. Only if they sit down with those kids. Only if they help think up new solutions new apps, new products together. When I say there's genius in foster care, genius in juvenile halls, genius in housing projects, genius on Native American reservations, genius in the barrios, I don't just mean intellectual genius. There's moral genius. That's moral genius. That will solve it. There's moral genius. So listen, we're going back to Ferguson. This time we know to ask. This time you know to offer. We will see you in Ferguson in the next 4 weeks. Thank you very much. We're going back to Ferguson. Yes, we code. Yes, we code. Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Have a couple of quick things I want to remind you about before you head out for the evening. The Rise of the Eco Warriors is at 720 in Southside Theater. There's a wind down sponsored by Impact Assets in the Impact Hub at SOCAP. If you have not got plans for the evening where you can go and meet up with other folks who might want to go out to dinner, I want to particularly thank Vivienne and Ed and Van for helping us put on new ears and see new solutions and new ideas for how we can help this world in deep need. And I want to remind you all tomorrow that 8:30 we begin on time, regardless of who's in the room. And we conclude tomorrow night with our get down at SOCAP with great funk soul band and good Southern food, because I'm from Mississippi and I got to decide what we were going to eat. So we'll see you there. Good night.